So, la previous class we learned about the postulates of presented by various scientists based on the structure of the atom, and finally the postulate of Bohr. So, the Bohr's atomic model was considered for the representation of the structure of atom. Today we shall discuss about the distribution of electrons in different orbits or shells. How the electrons will be distributed into the different orbits or shell which may combines to make an atom. So to discuss this distribution of electrons in different shells, certain scientists presented certain rules, among which Bohr's and Bury's rules came forward to write the electronic configuration. So two scientists, Bohr and Bury. So they represented certain rules to allot the electrons into different shells or orbits, or to make the arrangements of orbits, electrons in different orbits or shells. So what are those rules? Let us see first the rules presented by Bohr and Bury for the distribution of electrons into different orbits or shells.
Distribution of electrons in different shells. The distribution of electrons in the different shells was suggested by Bohr and Bury. The following are the rules for filling the electrons in the different shells. The maximum number of electrons in a shell is given by the formula 2n square, where n is the number of shell 1, 2, 3 and so on. First shell or K shell can have 2n square, that is equal to 2 multiplied by 1 square, that is equal to 2 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1 and is equal to 2 electrons. Second shell or K shell can have 2n square, that means 2 multiplied by 2 square, and that means 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2, that is equal to 8 electrons. So third shell or M shell can have 2n square, that is equal to 2 multiplied by 3 square, that is equal to 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3, that means 18 electrons. So fourth shell or N shell can have 2n square, that is equal to 2 multiplied by 4 square, and that means 2 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4, which gives 32 electrons, and so on. So the maximum number of electrons that can be filled in the outermost shell is 8. So electrons cannot be filled in the shell unless the inner shells are filled.
So from the video we got to know the rule presented by Bohr and Bury. In that we observed, to allot the number of electrons, they used 2n square formula, where n represented the number of shells. So the number of, it's the number of the shell or the orbit. So the n, it represents the number of the shell. So how many shells we have? We have so many shells like K, L, M, N and so on. So if the n, if we consider the K shell, then it will be 1, L means 2, M means 3 and N means 4 and so on. So this 2n square represents the formula to represent the distribution of the electrons. Now let us understand these rules still very clearly through this video.
Understanding the Bohr-Bury rules for writing the electronic configurations of an atom. We already know that an atom consists of a nucleus at its center, which contains positively charged protons and electrically neutral neutrons. The number of protons in an atom is called its atomic number, represented by Z. The mass number of an atom, decided by sum of true protons and neutrons present in an atom, is represented by A. Beside protons and neutrons, there are negatively charged particles called electrons, which revolve around the nucleus in various shells or orbits. Representation of electrons in the different shells of an atom is called as electronic configuration. The electron shells of an atom are not filled arbitrarily, but the number of electrons in a shell follows a set of rules called the Bohr-Bury rules. Let us discuss the Bohr-Bury rule to write the electron configuration of the elements up to calcium, whose atomic number is 20. Rule 1. The maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in a shell is given by 2n square, where n denotes the orbit number or the shell number. For example, for the first orbit, n is equal to 1, therefore 2n square is equal to 2. So the K shell can accommodate a maximum of 2 electrons. For the second orbit, n is equal to 2, therefore 2n square equals 8. So the second orbit or the shell L can accommodate a maximum of 8 electrons. Similarly, the third orbit of the shell M and the fourth orbit or the shell N can have a maximum of 8 and 18 and 32 electrons respectively. For fourth shells, K, L, M and N can accommodate a maximum of 2, 8, 18, 32 electrons respectively. Rule 2. The ultimate shell of an atom cannot contain more than 8 electrons in any case. Ultimate shell means the last shell. A new shell is formed as soon as the ultimate shell is filled with 8 electrons. For example, the third orbit can accommodate a maximum of 18 electrons. So when 8th electron occupies the third orbit or shell M, the atom gains a certain degree of stability. Hence, the next electrons enter to the third orbit, next moves to the fourth orbit or the fourth shell. Rule 3. The penultimate shell cannot have more than 18 electrons. By now, it should be clear that one electron present in a hydrogen atom occupies the K shell and 2 electrons will be present in a helium atom. Whereas lithium atom has 3 electrons, as per the rule 1, the K shell cannot have more than 2 electrons and hence it moves to the next shell L, which contains L, 1 electron. So the electronic configuration of lithium is 2, 1. However, there is a convention which does not allow the nature of the shell to mention the shell in the electronic configuration. The order in which the electrons are arranged and their numbers are mentioned in the order of such as K, L, M, N respectively. For instance, consider potassium. The atomic number of potassium is 19. Therefore, there are 19 electrons revolving around its nucleus. Out of these, 2 electrons enter the first orbit, 8 into the second orbit, another 8 into the third orbit, and the remaining electrons enter the fourth orbit. Hence, electronic configuration of potassium is written as 2, 8, 8, 1. The electronic configuration of elements of calcium. The electronic configuration of hydrogen is 1. Helium is 2. Lithium is 2, 1. Beryllium is 2, 2. Boron is 2, 3. Carbon is 2, 4. Nitrogen is 2, 5. Oxygen is 2, 6. Fluorine is 2, 7. Neon is 2, 8. Sodium is 2, 8, 1. Magnesium is 2, 8, 2. Aluminium is 283. Silicon is 284. Phosphorus is 285. Sulfur is 286. Chlorine is 287. Argon is 288. Potassium is 2881.
Now we got to know about the arrangement or the distribution or the allotment of electrons into various orbits or shells. Now we will learn how these orbits, how these electrons will combine with the other electrons of the atom and how will they form a chemical bond. So to understand this chemical bonding between different electrons of the atom, first we need to understand the concept of valency. So let us understand the concept of valency and the process of chemical bonding between two different elements or two different compounds.
To understand a few concepts related to atoms, let's begin with two simple elements, hydrogen and helium. Apart from the difference in the number of electrons and their structure, can you tell me another difference between these two? Yes, the most important difference lies in the fact that hydrogen is capable of reacting with several other elements, while helium never really does. Helium is a quiet, unreactive element that does not participate in reactions. But have you ever wondered why? What makes helium and many other elements also like neon, argon not participate in chemical reactions? And another question we would have is what makes other elements react spontaneously with each other? The answer is valency. Yes, one of the most important factors for reaction is the concept of valency. But before that, let's have a look at an important concept called the electronic configuration. Now, what could this be? As the name suggests, electronic refers to electrons, and the term configuration literally means arrangement or layout. That means the electronic configuration of an atom is the arrangement of its electrons in the shells. As simple as that. There are two facts that we need to recall. First, the innermost shell, or the first shell rather, has a maximum of 2 electrons that can be accommodated in it. Secondly, from the second shell onwards, whichever is the outermost shell, it can accommodate a maximum of 8 electrons. In simpler words, outermost orbital can contain 8 electrons at max. This state is called as the octet state. The term originates from the Greek word octa, which means 8. The octet state is considered to be a stable state. Let's understand this in a simple way. You love chocolates. Now, if there is a bag of chocolates kept open before you, how many will you try to grab at once? Needless to say, you will try and take as many chocolates as your hand can accommodate. That means the maximum number of chocolates is what anybody will wish for. Now, what have chocolates got to do with electronic configuration and valency? Let's understand the relation. As a part of human tendency, we will try and grab the maximum number of chocolates using our hands. Similarly, the atoms would want to have maximum number of electrons their shells can accommodate. That means if it's just one shell like in the case of hydrogen or helium, then the atoms would want to have 2 electrons in it. That will be the outermost shell of the atom. This will help them achieve a stable state. Similarly, for all the other atoms having more than one shell, it's obvious that they will wish to have 8 electrons in their outermost shell. And why is this so? That's correct. It's because the outermost orbital of any atom can accommodate a maximum of 8 electrons in it. That is the reason why all the atoms of various elements are in a constant struggle of attaining 8 electrons in their last shell. That is, achieving the octet state. However, it's not possible for all to have 8 electrons in the outermost shell. Imagine the case of oxygen, It has a total of 8 electrons. So can we just have one orbital around the nucleus containing all the 8 electrons? Absolutely not. In fact, according to the rule, we have to fill 2 electrons in the first and the remaining 6 electrons in the second shell, because the capacity of the first shell is to accommodate a maximum of 2 electrons. So can we say that the electronic configuration of oxygen is 2, 6? That's right. But now this indicates that oxygen does not have 8 electrons in the outermost shell. So how will it achieve its stable state? What can be done to have 8 electrons in the outermost orbital? Yes, oxygen can borrow or share electrons with atoms of other elements, right? Absolutely. This is how chemical reactions happen. Wait a second. Are we saying that chemical reactions occur because atoms of various elements give or take or share electrons between them? That's correct. And is this how compounds are formed? Absolutely. The giving or accepting or even sharing of electrons between the atoms of elements give rise to formation of chemical bonds. This ultimately gives us a compound. Now you tell me, how will the atoms decide how many electrons are to be given or accepted? How will they understand that electrons need to be shared with the other partner? Who decides all this? Well, the answer to all these questions is the concept of valency.
That was all about the distribution of electrons into different orbits and the concept of the valency. So the further content will be continued in the next class. Thank you.